Hello and good weekend. This is Doc Severson for the ReadySetCrypto OMNIA trade of the day for Sunday, the 7th of March. The big challenge that we begin with is Bitcoin ready to break out or not? Well, there's a number of ways that we can analyze this. Starting with the price, we can just look at this and say, thanks to our member Flo for letting me know about this tool, but we have this ruler over here on TradingView. Should have been using this a long time ago. And we can see that the last move that we had was about 20 bars before we started to break higher. And it was good for about 31% to the downside from the top to the bottom of that correction. You can also see though that volume started to really spike once we broke out of the pattern. So we had declining volume through the pattern and then big breakout volume to push this thing out and above and into the next level. Now, let's do the same thing with the current move that we have. We have a move about from the top to bottom here of about 26%. So we're a little shy there. We're also a little shy in the terms of the number of days that it takes. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly the same number of days. It doesn't have to be the same depth to the pullback. But there generally is some level of symmetry to these moves that we see. So we're expecting to see perhaps just a little bit more. Remember, when we were going through this pullback here in this consolidation pattern, the thing that I was saying back in January was, hey, look, when everybody expects to see the same thing, which is a breakout from this triangle pattern as it got into the apex, many times the exact opposite will happen. So this thing actually squirted out to the bottom, built a secondary consolidation before it finally broke higher. So are too many people expecting this to break to the upside? I myself am still waiting to see if we can get a swing test down here at about 42,000. So my limit order is sitting there, good till cancel, stubbornly down at 42,000 to see if I can get that last little bit of value from this move before we see the rebound from this pattern. Another tool that we can use on a constant basis is the fib retracements. We're going to pull these out. And the fib retracement of the last move from the bottom to the top was good for about a 50% retracement. And guess what? We have about the same thing here. So if I pull this one, let's give this one another try here. If I pull this one from the bottom to the top, right now that we can see, we have had that 50% retracement test. So these have been identical in terms of the depth of the pullback so far. The next thing I want to do is to bring up volume profile. And volume profile tends to find support at levels like this. Now, this one is a self-fulfilling prophecy because the price is already consolidated in that area. So this is why we did build up a big high volume node at that point. The one thing I'm seeing here, however, is what I call a black hole at 42,000. Now, these occur because we get these big candles that come with, these are just one-day wonders where we have very little price action trading there. These tend to not be support or resistance. But what I find is typically the price will traverse between high volume nodes. It'll go from one area to another until they find support, completely bypassing the black hole, which is in this area. This is one more reason why I'm still holding out at 42,000 for that limit order to see if I can get that. The next thing I'm going to add is the RSI Laguerre to check for energy. And again, here's where we ran into an interesting situation. We had massive amounts of energy as the price was coming into this triangle. Every reason in the world to believe that we should have broken to the upside from here. We did not. We actually broke to the downside. Eventually, we did break higher from here. So now we have kind of the same thing. We have this triangle setting up with very high energy value on the daily chart. Everybody expecting to see it break higher from here. And I'm wondering if we get one more stab to the downside. Remember, I'm simply looking for clues to see which way the price wants to go. Now, the final thing I'm going to add here is that we can go down to, I'm just going to take off the RSI for a minute. I'm going to go down to the 5-hour chart. And what we can see here is that the price action, where we've had a couple of these stabs to the upside, Couple of stabs to the upside. Each one of them has been rejected around this level here. Here we come with another higher low. And if this one gets rejected, then likely we will see something move to the downside. However, on the other hand, if we see this break strongly above 53,000, if we see it strong breakout above 53,000, likely it's on its way to the next weekly swing to the upside. One last thing here for Bitcoin, what I can do is determine the forward expected move into the end of this month. Right now, the price is about 50,000 and change. So I can take the 50,000 at the money straddle for the 26 March series that's over here. And this is going to give us a 1 standard deviation reading into the end of this month. So I'm going to draw an arc from the upper target of the 1 standard deviation move, which is going to be 59,272. That's close enough. And then we're going to take it down to the bottom target of this, which is 41,972. 41,972. And then we will just simply draw out the parabola. Pull that out. So that is the forward price target for a 1 standard deviation move. There's a 68.2% probability the price will stay within this arc from here until the 26th of March. Let's move on. Let's see what's happening with Ethereum. We have taken the fibs on Ethereum from the bottom to the top. We've had a 50% retracement. We have the same comments on this one. If the price is starting to break strongly above 1710, and it's finding some resistance here as we speak, but if it starts to break strongly above 1710 on good volume, and there's our volume. You can see the volume we had on the initial breakout back here at the beginning of the year. And that was super strong from this very light base. And right now we have a very light volume on this breakout. So I don't know that this is going to do it yet. We may see this just flagging out, setting up a lower high, coming back down, maybe retesting the 50%. Again, until we get some volume on here, if the volume does come in over 1710, then we can assume that it's real and perhaps this is on its next break to the upside. Looking at the weekly chart here, this has just been one straight 50% pullback on that weekly swing. Now, looking at other coins in our watch list in the top 20, we have kind of mixed results. Some are up a couple of percent, some are down slightly. We're looking for things that are really starting to move. We have VET here, and this one looks really good. I like this sort of rounded base pattern here. And a break above 6 cents, in this case versus the US dollar, would represent the next breakout for this guy. Everything else is relatively stable here. We can also look at some of the other ones that we look at, such as our DeFi list, which is looking okay, kind of mixed results here across the board. AAVE, if we have a break above 420, that's a valid entry long. And then Uniswap looks also really good with a break of above 32 would be the way to go here. We are seeing a little bit of exhaustion on this one as we're closing in on this move here. So this may not have enough gas to be able to get above and beyond 32 without setting up the handle pattern with the cup with handle for this little rounded base here. Lastly, looking at some of the swing trades that we look at through altcoins versus the BTC. Again, this has got to be when BTC is not ripping to the upside, and we have some of these coins that are actually taking advantage of BTC kind of being soft right now and are starting to break out strong, like Ocean. We have Doc is doing quite well. Tomo has been strong. This one seems to be a basing pattern above 5,500 sats seems to be the long here. And then Engine Coin has been really strong as well too, above about 2,600 or so. So that is the weekend report. Everything looks pretty good right now, and the markets are just taking a brief pause, as is the rest of risk assets. So don't let that disturb you, because when we have full corrections, especially in the NASDAQ, we get a lot of margin calls on the larger, 30, 40, $50 trillion markets that are out there, and everything risk asset wise gets tossed out the window to generate cash. And unfortunately, this is what happens to cryptocurrencies. They are downstream of that at the current time. Even gold and silver get thrown out the window during times like this, only to recover later. That's it for the weekend report. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on Monday.